My name's Sunday. Um, and I live in Yorkshire in England, and I'm an estrangement coach, relationship coach, and kind of specialising in estrangement. Through my own experience of being estranged by three adult daughters, on and off over the last 20 years, and completely, really, for the last 10. And I got chatting with somebody today about family and how we have this perception that family is somewhere where you get comfort, support, love, appreciation, acknowledgement, and validation, support, validation, all the things that human beings possibly need and want, but maybe even need in order to thrive. And very often, family is for many the last place that you um, go when you've got troubles. For many, not for everybody, for many. And how we feel that loss when we realise that actually our family isn't somewhere where you can go and unburden and you can understand. I don't know if you've got to a place in your life. I've got to a place in my life where I can understand that when one family member's upset, it kind of really upskittles the rest of the family. Because of the close nature, there seems to be an investment, some kind of attachment investment in everything being okay. You know, we don't have any problems. We have the perfect family. And I think so many people manage to kind of, maybe in the past, maybe not so much now, manage to put on an act, a mask, and the stuff that we can't deal with as a family gets pushed away, shoved in the cupboard, under the mat, whatever. You get my drift. And so as we are evolving as young adults, very often as young adults, I think there is a tendency to go and find your own family, to push away from the, um, I'll say indoctrination and collusion that the family does as a unit to make things work. If everybody's having meltdowns every 5 minutes, and which most people often do, as you get older, you just push your meltdowns down and in because there isn't a safe place to share it. And it's been written about a lot. I'm reading a book at the moment in part of the book group that I'm involved in, The Four Agreements, and it's an old book, Don Miguel Ruiz, and he talks in there, it talks about how we are brought up in the family program, and if you get to know where the edges are, you get to know where the things are that you don't do, and the things that you do, that the disapproval that you get kind of makes you toe the line. And there's so much estrangement around now, and in a way I can understand it, because maybe in my childhood, I remember running away from home as a youngster. I think most kids have had an experience of they want to run away from home and they want to go live with anybody else's parents other than their own. And it's kind of strange, isn't it? And I don't think that stops. I think with all this gentle parenting that's going on, I think the parents of today are still going to experience that their children will want to break out of the mold that the family, the parents, have built around the family. Because there's so much, there's so many agreements, the things that you don't say, the things that you do say, things that are allowed not. You get my drift. We are indoctrinated into a family way of being that when we need to be our own person, there's a conflict in us around how can I be me and still belong. And it's global, is this? It's not just in the family unit. The family unit seems to me to be the micro bit of it. The macro is how do I be, or how do groups of people be unique in their own expression and still be accommodated, accepted, supported, validated, loved, appreciated, honoured when they are different to the other groups, and this I feel is what estrangement has shown me this kind of separation, this need to be an individual, but also to belong. And that's the rub. That is the rub. That's where the rubber hits the road. That's where the shit hits the fan. That's where where the conflict arises. And so many of us pretend, or we did pretend, to be something that we're not in order to fit in. And I think that's slowly being addressed, not without its difficulties and its problems. And even as an older person, when you go into a job, a culture, like we switch cultures, and it's like you put on different hats to fit into those cultures. I think that might be slowly disappearing. I don't know, but I would love that. If I could walk around as me and feel that I could be me in any setting, within any culture, within any organization or institution, and taught my language and find a common language with the other person who has a different meaning to words. And you can see it in the relationships that humans have with each other, how difficult it is to communicate, how difficult it is to understand one another. And going back to the family, you can see that most family members possibly aren't aware or awake or evolved enough in their sense of self that they can be there at the level that the other person needs them or wants them to be there for them. We're all fighting our own emotional battles, our own quirks and conditioning from our own childhoods. And you can see the cycle. You can just so see the cycle, the patterns of behaviour that get repeated, or the ones that get adopted in complete opposition to the way that we were brought up. Some people who were brought up really strict have no boundaries with their own children, because they don't want to impose their will on their children. It's a nightmare is raising a family. There's no way to do it. There's no book. We're all making it up as we go along. And I think if we all recognize that we're just making it up as we go along, I think that would really help everybody to realize that actually I am just making this up as I go along. I have some idea, and I'm older now, I'm probably the right age to have children, but obviously not as well. But the wisdom that comes through having the experience, I read somewhere recently, and I don't remember who quoted it. It said, "Life can only be understood backwards, and it has to be lived forwards," which means that we learn as we go along. And do human beings learn from their mistakes? I suppose on an individual level, some of us might do at some level with some things. And when you get to that point of, why did I just do it like that again? Then you're on that journey of evolving yourself into an expanded human being who can be there when people have meltdowns and can be with family members who we find difficult, or we did find difficult. There's so much, I'm going to say, fun and adventures in finding out who you are so that you can relate with anybody at any level with love, truth and compassion, and still be yourself and still belong. And I think that's the biggest quest for most humans on the planet. Anyway, lots of love to you. Enjoy your day. I shall pick this up again some other time, and sending you lots of love. Okay, bye.